Good evening. Welcome to T211 News. We have breaking news about a murder in Madison, Wisconsin, an early winter storm, and we will be hearing from President Obama about the current troop surge. My name is Nick Litterisi. Sitting next to me is Chris Burrows. First, though, some breaking news out of Madison, Wisconsin. Tyrone Adair is wanted for the murder of his two daughters and their mother. Police are asking if anybody has seen Tyrone to please call the authorities and stay clear of this man. Authorities have said that they are considering Tyrone to be a person of interest in the killing of 25-year-old Amber Weigel. Please keep an eye out for this man and take precautions if seen. In more national news, President Barack Obama recently announced his decision to deploy 30,000 troops to Afghanistan. The proclamation was made during a speech at the West Point U.S. Military Academy last week. Here's T212 News reporter Casey Richardson with more.
Thanks, Nick. With the surge, the United States now has roughly 100,000 troops currently deployed in Afghanistan. Many of them are located in the southern provinces of Helmand and Kandahar, both considered Taliban strongholds. As Obama states, the Taliban are still a major threat to the safety of Americans.
We must deny al-Qaeda a safe haven. We must reverse the Taliban's momentum and deny it the ability to overthrow the government. And we must strengthen the capacity of Afghanistan's security forces and government so that they can take lead responsibility for Afghanistan's future.
When Obama assumed office, roughly 32,000 troops were in Afghanistan. In addition to the recent surge, Obama deployed 21,000 troops in March. This move is part of Obama's strategy to be withdrawn from Afghanistan starting in July of 2011. For T211 News, I'm Casey Richards.
Thanks, Casey. The nation's largest lender, Bank of America Corporation, will be repaying its $45 billion debt to the United States government soon. The Charlotte, North Carolina-based corporation has been progressively gaining economic ground since it plummeted in 2008. Many of their gains have come in the stock market as their shares have risen 11% this past year. Initially, the funds helped pad their takeover of underwriting giant Merrill Lynch & Company and also helped in the restructuring of the company under already outgoing CEO Kenneth Lewis. Corporate executives have hoped that the positive turnaround will attract another progressive CEO like Lewis. However, economic pundits say the most important factor for Bank of America is their freedom from the government's restrictions.
In several parts of the nation, a wintry wonderland has been seen the earliest in years. New Orleans has received the earliest snowfall in history, when people awoke today with the snowy powder covering the ground. Snow caused cancellations on Saturday in Washington, D.C., while the same storm dropped up to 4 inches of snow overnight in parts of Mississippi, leaving 7,000 some homes and businesses without power.
A Chinese citizen has been caught in a traveler's limbo in a Japanese airport. Feng Sangyu, a human rights activist, has been stranded in the Narita International Airport outside Tokyo for more than a month. His stay in the airport has been compared to the 2004 Tom Hanks film, The Terminal, in which Hanks portrays an Eastern European traveler stuck in an American terminal. While in flight, his small country has a revolution, causing his visa to be revoked. Sangzu's case isn't as extreme as he is a Chinese citizen with a Japanese visa, but the Chinese government is barring his re-entry to his homeland because of past criticisms to the government's stance on human rights. Sangzu has willingly taken camp in the airport as a stance against the Chinese government.
Google's video site has been trying to convince the television industry to let them stream individual shows for free. YouTube already allows its users to watch a variety of television shows for free with advertising. A stumbling block for this idea is the consumers. Google is talking about streaming the shows instead of downloading episodes to your computer, similar to what Apple and Amazon used to do. However, these companies producing the shows do not want to allow their product to be streamed for free. YouTube is playing with the idea of launching a television rental business. Apple is also toying with the idea of a monthly subscription service, and cable operator Comcast will be launching a TV Everywhere service giving subscribers access to online shows.
Locally, Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels announced Friday that $150 million in state funds will be cut from higher education. The decision came as a result of continuing decline in tax revenues caused by the economic downturn. The majority of the location of the cuts are yet to be finalized, but many feel that both Indiana University and Ivy Tech will feel the brunt of the cuts. The finalization will be decided when universities sit down with the Commission for Higher Education and decide where the exact slashes will come from. After these meetings, a new revenue forecast will be presented on December 15th. The declining of the tax revenues, which are the funding for the $150 million, were $144 million below forecast.
The Indiana basketball team had a home game against Maryland last week. Could the Hoosiers pull off this upset? All this and more after the break.
Imagine this caterpillar is your identity. And Street Fighter Kimbo Slice is a cybercriminal. Kimbo wants to take your caterpillar and do bad things to it. The caterpillar, responding in typical caterpillar fashion, eats a leaf. Now you have a choice. Would you like to allow Kimbo to, in his words, unleash a world of hurt on your caterpillar? Or would you like to deny it? Protect your caterpillar from Kimbo Slice. Deny digital dangers with Norton Internet Security 2010.
Welcome to T211 Sports. I'm Casey Richards. Last Tuesday, the Indiana basketball team lost 80-68 to the Maryland Terrapins at home as part of the Big Ten ACC Challenge. The Hoosiers hung tough throughout the first half and most of the second before the veteran Terps pulled away. With the defeat, Indiana's record in the Big Ten ACC Challenge falls to 3-6, which includes losses in 6 of the last 7 matchups. 2 freshmen led the scoring for Indiana as Maurice Creek tallied 19, while Christian Watford added 16. The Hoosiers struggled mightily defensively, however, allowing the Terrapins to shoot 47% from the field. Maryland's experience certainly played a factor in pulling away from the Hoosiers down the stretch. The Terps started 3 seniors, including Grievous Vasquez, who scored a game-high 23 points. As time wound down, the student section let their feelings about Vasquez be known in the form of profanity-laced chants, something that Coach Crean was not very happy about.
We can be obnoxious, we can be nasty, we can cheer against the other team, but we never use vulgarity. We never use vulgarities against an opponent. That is not what happened in Indiana in the past, and it's certainly not going to happen under my watch.
In other news, Indiana men's soccer coach Mike Freitag will not be back next season. Athletic Director Fred Glass recently announced that he would not renew Freitag's contract for the upcoming season. Said Glass of the decision, quote, "Mike is a great person who has contributed much to Indiana University. Still, upon a careful and deliberate review of both objective and subjective information about the program, and after talking at length with Mike, I have become convinced that this hallowed program needs new leadership," unquote. Freitag had a career record of 86, 32, and 19 in 6 seasons and led the Hoosiers to a national championship back in 2004. Although the Big Ten season may be over, several other conferences held their title games this past weekend. Saturday evening was the showdown of the Southern Collegiate Football as the University of Florida and the University of Alabama met in the Georgia Superdome at Atlanta for the NCAA Southeastern Conference title game. Both teams came into the game with matching undefeated records at 12-0 and ranked first and second respectively in the national polls, but only one left with their unbeaten record intact. The Florida Gators have been the most potent offense of all BCS teams this season, with a stellar leader in senior quarterback Tim Tebow, a Heisman candidate. Last year, Tebow averaged about 4 yards per carry and scored 12 touchdowns and led them to the national championship, their second in 3 years. This year's chances of a national title and an SEC title were crushed by the surprisingly dominant Alabama Crimson Tide. The Tide, which usually wins by less than a touchdown, triumphed over the Gators with a score of 32-13. Not only was the SEC championship on the line this weekend, but so was the Big East championship. This game was a battle between the 15th-ranked Pittsburgh Panthers and the 5th-ranked Cincinnati Bearcats. Pittsburgh early on took a controlling lead of 31-10 over Cincinnati late in the second quarter. However, without fear, the Bearcats rallied and tied the game at 38-38 with fewer than 6 minutes left in regulation. After a long and hard-played 6 minutes, the Cincinnati Bearcats emerged victorious 45-44. That's all we have for this edition of T211 News. Stay tuned for an exclusive interview with Harrison Ford about his newest movie on the upcoming episode of 60 Minutes. Also on the show will be director Steven Spielberg discussing why he chose Ford to be a part of his next movie. That's all we have for here from tonight. Thanks for watching.